Second trial, because Michael cannot hit the buttons right. Welcome to the Soundwaves from the Sea podcast. I'm Michael Martinez, joined here by Owen Murray.
It's been so long.
It's been so long. So we're gonna run this back again. The Seattle Sounders went to Kansas City and won 3-2 against Sporting KC, thanks to goals from designated player Jordan Morris, Albert Rusnak, and Jesus Ferrer all in the first half. Sporting KC came back with the second half with two very soft penalties. The courtesy of Dejan Joveljic, if I'm saying his name right, and Munoz, which is also a very soft penalty, which we'll get to that later. Owen, how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. We had a great chat. We're gonna run it back. I got some new thoughts. We're gonna talk this one through. It's a big win. It's a big win for the Sounders. I didn't watch the second half live. I've since gone back and seen it. Sporting Kansas City feels like it's always been one of those places where it's tough for the Sounders to go to, especially in July. It's hot. Um, and I was really happy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. My knee still hurts like hell, but it's the Sounders win, so I can at least be happy about that.
Absolutely. I mean, we can just talk through this first half. I was really happy with how potent the Sounders were offensively. We've talked a lot about how, and often about how, they maybe don't push for the second goal harder, or even the third goal, and they're pushing throughout this half, which I think is the big thing. You can see they score early. We'd love to see Jordan Morris on the score sheet. He's evolving once again into Will Bruin. And then they keep going. You score in the middle of the half. You get Jesus Ferreira scoring on the counter in the eighth minute of first half stoppage time. That was what I was really taken away here is that it was a full half of offensive production. And I think that's something that you don't see that often from the Sounders.
No, I really don't. Usually after like the first or even the second goal, you see the Sounders start dropping back immediately and kind of holding on for a win. And we expected them to keep pushing, especially into the second half. I do want to highlight that first goal from Jordan Morris. There were 21 passes leading up to that goal, which, again, like you were just saying, you don't see the kind of pressure and those kind of pass sequences from the Sounders very often on goals. And I thought it was just really great to see Jordan Morris hit that outside the foot pass right to Paul Rothrock, who sends it in like after beating Kyrie Shelton one time, and then Jordan Morris again just heads it right in to the goal, made it look so easy.
Yeah, credit to Paul Rothrock. That was a great ball. And he, we can bring this up later, but is he the best Sounders winger? He's certainly the most consistent Sounders winger. Um, and we talk about how strong these Sounders are on the counterattack, but a lot of the times when you think about those counters, you think about, hey, this is a really great 1-2 pass breakout, and then a long ball to a guy who stays high and wide for the whole game. This was different. And I think that was really important to recognize is that yes, this was a counterattack, but it was very, very premeditated. It was very calculated, and I was really happy to see that, and especially to see Jordan Morris come back, score 15 minutes into his return with his
You
head, but
you
to see
know it
all
had
those
to be
scores with his
him.
head.
God, you know it had to
Um,
be him.
it was great. It was great. And I think that connection, the Seattle connection there, is one we've been missing for a while. That Paul Rothrock to Jordan Morris, and he's really evolved. I think Paul Rothrock has evolved as a player in the final third. We've been critical of his inability to take guys on one. And we've raised reasons to maybe to say that's why he maybe shouldn't be starting this team over a guy like Georgia Manungu or Ryan Kent. But he's really shown that he's able to even if it's not beating a guy one on one, we've seen the nutmegs from him. But here it's just delivering a great early final ball. Um, you know, it wasn't super complicated, and I think that's what's so great about Paul
Uh,
Rothrock. He's not always the most complicated player, but he
mhm.
gets stuff done.
He's playing that classic winger role, and the Sounders have definitely been missing that. Something that Georgie isn't providing, Ryan Kent is providing. Hell, even our designated $6 million player, Pedro de la Vega, hasn't been providing either. It's great to see. I know I was clamoring earlier on in the season that it should be Ryan Kent and Pedro de la Vega on the wings, but Paul Rothrock's proven me wrong.
I want to say maybe that Kent De La Vega partnership is the most like based on pure talent, but maybe Paul Rothrock is just pure talent. I mean like he can be a saucy guy.
He could be. He is definitely his stock is rising every week by week.
Yeah,
And
okay. So absolutely. And I think he's just a great player for this team. There'll be a point where you have to decide whether to give him a contract, of course, a real contract. But for now, I think you just kind of enjoy that.
Mhm.
We talked about how offensive potent this first half is. Let's just back that up a little bit. Sounders take 9 shots, 6 of those are on target. That's a great rate. 3 big chances. That, of course, includes a penalty kick that we'll talk about. 2.12 XG from 61% possession on the road, playing a non-Peter Vermees Kansas City.
Their luck, they have no luck. No matter whoever's the who coach, who's the manager, they're just not a good team.
I love to hear it. So where does this penalty come from?
So the penalty is it took a while for him to give it. There was a handball right in the box. It came from Shallowy, come trying to head it out, but it ends up just hitting his arm right around here and just kind of goes flying out. And like I don't know why it took so long to give them the call. Like there was no controversy behind it, not like SKC goals in the second half. But in the end, they finally gave it, and Albert Rusnak slotted it home, made it look easy.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes again from, you know, like putting ball in the box, getting guy. What I was really happy with was if he doesn't do that, that's a goal. If he doesn't make
Yeah.
that handball, there's guys lined up there ready to put it home, and I really do have confidence that the guys there up at the back stick would have put it in.
Oh yeah, because you had Jordan Morris sitting on the back post right there. You had Alex Rodon who was coming in ready to just slot it home. Like you said, it was gonna be a goal regardless. Sounds to be 2-0 up, but hey, I'm not gonna
Absolutely.
complain about Albert Rusnak getting on the score sheet again.
And he's been a good penalty taker, which I think is underrated. Sounders, had
They
great penalty had a great guy on penalties for so long. Thank you, Nico. Um, and to see that continue is always a great thing because it's never good when you don't have a guy you can trust up at the spot.
No, let's talk about this third goal, this Jesus Ferreira goal, because I thought every bit of it was fantastic. Whether it was the ball out of the back to Christian Roldan, that 45-yard dinger right to Jesus Ferreira, who just had all the time and space in the world. It was great. And then he lays it off to Albert Rusnak. Albert Rusnak feints, sends the keeper the other way, sends it right back to Ferreira, who slots it right home.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to talk about with this goal, and I brought it up first time around here, was that is the patience really? Because it's a fast break, but you really patience really is the biggest part of fast breaks. And I think that maybe that wasn't Jesus Ferrer's best aspect, for a lot of his season here with the Sounders. I think, a lot of the time you wouldn't have seen him lay it off to Albert Rusnak there, which is really what made that goal. I think that's a 50-50 chance if he takes the shot right when he gets into the box. Um, and I was expecting him to just take the shot, but
Mhm.
he lays it off, and Albert Rusnak, to his credit, makes a great move to move the goalkeeper, and then just slides it back to Ferreira, who can slot it home much easier. And I think that's the biggest part to recognize here.
Really was. It was just another great Sounders passing sequence, which again, like you said, at the very beginning of this episode, you don't see that very often from the Sounders who keep pushing and keeping that line that high. It was
Yeah,
just it was a great half.
yeah, like we said, pushing so deep into this half, because a lot of the times when you go play away in July, in the Midwest or in the South, it gets hot and you're tired. Um, but the Sounders looked like the fitter team. They looked like the stronger team. They looked like the more motivated team, which I was really happy about until they kicked off for the second half.
And everything went to dog water. So obviously Jordan Morris is still on a minutes restriction. He got subbed off for Danny Musovski right at the half. Normally you wouldn't expect that to be detriment to the Sounders attack, but it kind of changed everything. The Sounders, nothing going forward, no cohesion, whether it's in the midfield or in the front line by himself. It was just the Sounders were sitting back quite a bit and just kind of absorbing and allowing Sporting Kansas City to apply all this pressure.
Yeah, it feels like one of those situations where you just say, "Hey, offense is actually the best defense." You had these guys on their heels for so long that when they get their chance to counterattack, it doesn't look good in that first half.
Mhm.
They're rushed and they don't have patience. In the second half, they do start creating chances. Two of these come from penalties, so keep it aware. But just to throw some, they take 17 shots, 5 on target, 3 big chances, to over 3 goals of XG, 60% possession, almost completely flipped
Yeah.
from that first half. Meanwhile, the Sounders take 4 shots, all kind of clustered together, and just really don't create anything. And you want to say, hey, why are we stopping what we did in that first half? Because you had them on their heels. And yes, maybe you do get tired. And yes, maybe you don't have the same type of guy in the channels that you do with Danny Musovski as opposed to Jordan Morris, but Danny Musovski has shown that he can be a hold-up player. And so I was curious, kind of your thoughts on the tactical shift there.
I just feel like for me, you think that you would utilize the wing play a lot more because we've seen that from the Sounders with Danny Musovski, whether it's Paul Rothrock, Ryan Kent on the left, or it's Pedro de la Vega, or even Jesus Ferreira on the right. Like we've seen that play and seen the Sounders still push high with Musovski as like that target guy, but they weren't doing any of that at all. They were still sitting so far back, and it felt like the line of confrontation went from like close to the 50-yard line to almost like the middle of the two spots.
Yeah, and so you do get a couple new wingers, and you get Ryan Kent and Pedro de la Vega in the 62nd and 63rd minute. Neither of them really do anything, which is a little bit concerning because they're the guys that look at and you say, "Hey, I want you to take somebody on." Like I understand that some of these guys are maybe a better system fit, and they're the guys who can create those passing moves. But when I get Ryan Kent on the ball, I want him to push. I want him to put a guy on his back foot, and we didn't see a whole lot of that.
No, we saw more complacency ball from Ryan Kent. We saw him passing backwards to Nuhu or passing to the side to either Christian or Obed. He wasn't really moving forward as much, which is a little concerning. Which actually I want to bring up to you again. I wanted to get your thoughts to see if you think it's just Ryan Kent just kind of being out of form and not having the confidence, or is he being coached to do that?
I would be really concerned if he's being coached. He came in here with all the confidence in the world, and we were really praising him. We were saying, hey, there aren't a lot of this guys on this team who have this combination of being able to take guys on one and deliver a final ball. That's what we loved about him. He was able to beat a guy on the edge of the box and slide it back. Because there's guys who can slide it back on this team. There's guys who can beat a guy on the edge of the box. There's not a I don't really know that there's a guy who can do both consistently.
Mm.
Um,
I
if
also want to get
if,
your thoughts on Pedro de la Vega and his play.
Yeah, it's in that same bucket. Had to for you for this stat. He had five kind of great defensive actions in this game, which obviously you love to see, and it's fantastic, and it really shows that he's a hardworking player. And he's pushing, which should not go unrecognized. But at a certain point, you say, "Hey, we have Christian Roldan for that. Hey, we have Obed Vargas. We need you to be the guy who's forward. We don't need you to be the guy with a defensive action all the time." That obviously does not mean we're criticizing his defensive tracking back because that's fantastic, and you really do want to see that from a winger who plays for the Sounders. It's just not. It's half of the player we expect him to be. It's
Yeah,
not all of it.
especially as a
Um,
DP
Especially
winger.
as a DP.
Like you expect a lot more from that. A lot more offensive output, which we're not. We're just simply not getting.
And it gets more complicated when you have these penalties awarded. They were both poor tackles from behind, both a little bit soft, but you can't go to a guy from behind like that.
No,
Because
it's simple. It's simple defending.
it
It's
just
simple
gives them an
defending.
opportunity to go down. Dejan Joveljic doesn't go down like that, but he will if you tackle him like that in the box,
Hmm.
and he has every right to.
And of course, a
Except
tricky
for
winger like Santiago Munoz, he's going to go down if he feels any sort of contact. Like,
you just have to be smarter.
yeah,
And they come from a couple different players. The Danny Musovski one's tough. It really is pretty soft. Um, but that one's gonna get given. And then the Reed Baker Whiting when we talked about Reed a little bit and why we're concerned, and we talked about, hey, the next thing I want to do is see a player evolve because this isn't a one-time issue. He's had poor tackles from behind in multiple games and it's cost him multiple times. This one it wasn't a red card. The last time it was.
yeah,
That's really where I want to see some growth because he came into this team as an attacker. He's developed as a defender, but that's really what I want to see next.
yeah. We're just he's just missing that defensive awareness, which you think by this point being trained as a defender for this amount of time for the past 3+ years, he would eventually get those. But it's just something's not clicking there.
And the defense, to its credit, did kind of hold this down outside of those penalties. There's an unbelievable save from Alex Roldan, kind of a crazy little kick save on the line. Andrew Thomas really did show up in this one. I know we think of him as a penalty goalkeeper, and he didn't save either penalty. He went the wrong way on both of them, but outside of that, he was unbelievable. He made a great save down to his right at the start of at the end of the first half, and then he kind of like combines with Christian Roldan. I'm not sure who actually gets credit for it. To push one away to his left. Really impressed with him because I know we were doubting Andy T a little bit at the start of the season. We saw him be a little bit shaky. especially in that LAFC game. And he comes out and really shows that he's, I
He's next man up.
I struggle to say MLS starting level keeper, but he's a confident guy, and that he
Yeah.
will be okay, and the Sounders will be okay without Stefan Frei in goal for a little bit.
Mhm. And I mean, Big Andy T, he knows the system. He's been with the Sounders long enough. Well, yeah, like you said, we will be just fine.
That's a player who's developed for what it's worth.
100%. Now
Speaking of players who haven't developed,
let's get to the Nuhu talk. So Nuhu got himself sent off for the second game in 3 league matches, and this is now the fourth game in a row where a Sounders fullback has gotten sent off. It's getting comical at this point.
yeah. So we can talk through what actually happened. There's the VAR review for the second penalty in second half stoppage time. He's up by the goal with John Bell, and the Kansas City supporter section. We assume something gets said. Do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so like I said, something got said. I'm assuming, and it looked like banter back and forth, normal stuff. We've seen every player in every league do this. It's normal. The Kansas City fan flips off Nuhu, and his first instinct, instead of just walking away laughing about it, is to grab the ball right there. It's in right next to the net and chuck it right at the fan's head. And immediately after that, ref comes over. Sideline ref sees it. Center ref comes over, gives him a red card. The internet starts freaking out because they see Nuhu flipping off the ref, but in reality, it's just he was trying to show the ref what the fan did. Which again, you can't be fans do that every single game. I mean, hell, even ECS does it to every single opposing player when they're announcing the lineup, and you don't see them getting riled up and throwing the ball at the fans. It's just it's sad to see.
Yeah, it's tough at a point because you don't know what was said. Like when I look at it, I just want to say, hey, like you just look at that guy and go scoreboard.
Yeah.
But we don't know what was said. We were talking about, hey, that at a certain point this has been an ongoing issue. Like we talked about with Reed and tackles from behind, you have to grow as a player, especially when you've been here for so long. He's 27. Um, at a certain point you need this guy to grow, and it puts the Sounders in a tough situation because you don't really have a great option. You do not have an MLS starting option at left back, save maybe Jonathan Bell, who right now you need at center back given
The injury crisis that
uh,
we're in.
the crisis that's happening there that people have covered. You need John Bell there. You don't have another MLS starting level option at left back.
No, I mean, and I want to
It
bring
puts the
this up.
Sounders in
Like,
a tough situation.
do you think? I mean, Schmidt said this in the post-match presser that he's going to deal with Nuhu internally. Who knows what that means at this point? But do you think realistically it is time to move on from Nuhu and look for something else in the league?
So I think there's a couple different questions here. I think they're like, sh should the Sounders move on from Nuhu, and can the Sounders move on from Nuhu? Because in a perfect world, I would say yeah. Even though he is the best one-on-one defender on this team, I don't know that that's worth the multiple times he has cost or almost cost this team games. Just this season and also in the past. In multiple competitions, and I think that's so yeah, I mean, it's always time to say, hey, let's always look to see how we can improve this team. I don't think the Sounders are in a position where they can afford to do that. Because like we said, there's not really a replacement option within the team. Um, Scouting a player, especially a starting player like that, takes time. Um, and I don't know that you're in a place right now in your season. And with the goals they've set, this is a team that always wants to compete for trophies, but that looks like it's in a great position right now to push for a home playoff spot. That you really do want to shake up what's been your best asset, which is your defense.
And Nuhu's
So
been an
so my,
integral
my
part of that.
answer
Yeah.
is, of course it's time to see what the future looks like there. Because I don't know that it's Reed Baker Whiting or that wherever Cody Baker or Travian Souza are within the system. But you can't do it right now. I would
Yeah.
not want to insert a guy, especially a new to this league guy, because you're not getting a better you're not getting a on a pure skill level better option at left back from within the MLS. who you can realistically get. Um, and I think it's especially tough for defenders to come to this league, especially midseason, and that's what I'll be
Yeah.
concerned about. So I think I don't think this was a question, but he is the starting left back going forward.
Yeah. Agreed. There's no one else. All right. So Sounders win. We're happy about that. We're sad about what everything else is going on with the rest of the club with Nuhu, but hey, at least the Sounders now officially move up to fourth in the West
Yeah, thank
after
you,
the
Portland, for
thank you.
losing to second to last place Kansas City, or sorry, St. Louis
Well done.
City on the weekend. Sounders, though, short week. You got to have Colorado at home. It's a place where they've been dominant against a team they've been dominant against. Sounders have only lost twice since 2010. In Seattle against Colorado. This must be what RSL feels like.
It's a wild stat, by the
Uh,
way.
what?
That's a wild stat.
It's an
Only two losses
unbelievable.
in 15 years. That is insane.
I mean it's not unprecedented. Like we say, the Sounders struggle when they go to Salt Lake. But so Sounders do play midweek. There's gonna be some stuff going on around this game. But on the field, this is an interesting one because you're gonna have kind of a different lineup. I think you're gonna see a very similar lineup. I think you will still see Andy Thomas. You will see Jordan Morris from the start. It's going to be a different option at left back, and I think it'll probably be Reed Baker Whiting. I'm curious if that changes just because of the fact that he gives away that penalty and he's made some rash tackles before. Um,
I still want to say
I don't
Cody
know where
Baker,
you at.
man.
I would love to see Cody Baker.
He is so much more defensively sound than Reed. Yeah, he's like a new who doesn't do that great going forward, but man, kid can tackle. Kid has such good defensive awareness for his
He's just
age
like
and
a
not playing.
linebacker. I love
Kid's
it.
kid's literally built like a linebacker. He's huge. He's a big boy.
I still remember he just like laid a guy out at Starfire in the Open Cup.
Iconic.
Um,
This is also Josh Atencio's return to Seattle.
Love him, man.
Love.
Um, so it's a big one. Sounders have two games at home now. Between Wednesday and Saturday. And is there a situation where you say, hey, it's okay to not take 6 points here?
Absolutely not. You're at home. You've been dominant at home. You've only lost like what, two games at home all season. You take all 6 points against Colorado and San Jose. No
Absolutely.
questions.
Colorado, San Jose. These are teams the Sounders can beat. San Jose maybe get a little bit frisky. But it's always weird against those guys. And then the Sounders head to Atlanta next week, and then it's Leagues Cup time.
Ugh, I hate Lee's Cup.
Welcome back. Did you? But now we're going to welcome into the podcast another special guest, Mikey Scoops, who's telling
Oh,
me that he's
Scoops.
got a little bit of news on a little bit of a number nine.
A little bit of number nine. So I posted this on Twitter yesterday. Noah Ohio has no intention of leaving FC Utrecht. From what I was told, from sources that are within the club and people who are close to the club, that the player does not want to leave. He wants to stay and fight for that starting number nine, which there's only one other player that's not even in front of him who is there on the roster. So he could be the starting number nine, especially in the Europa League and in the Eredivisie. I think it would take a lot more for the Sounders to bring him home. Well, I was also told that yes, anybody is up for sale for the right price, but Utrecht also rejected the Sounders' first offer, which I look back at it there, I can't find anything concrete saying how much the Sounders offered initially, but they Utrecht might be wanting upwards to like $7 to $10 million US dollars for this player.
And I'm curious too where this puts you when Jordan Morris comes back and scores. Like that, does that put the Sounders in maybe a little bit less desperate of a position to go get a number nine? Obviously, you're always looking for the future because Jordan Morris is now on the wrong side of 30 years old, which baffles me. Um, does that put the Sounders in a little bit of a better negotiating position, or even just a position to say, hey, maybe we don't need this player right now. We'll come back in the winter.
I think it's more the latter. Like we have Jordan Morris, like I said, Jordan Morris is back. He should be 90 minutes fit probably the next week or two, to be 100% honest with you. We saw Danny Musovski. Yeah, he has only scored one goal in the last, what, 9 or 10 games, whatever it is, but like he's still a very viable option for the Sounders side. I think it might be time to be looking to use those U22 spots on maybe another defensive mid or maybe as a number 10 maybe to back up Albert Rusnak, who's also on the wrong side of 30. I think there are better options than in number 9 at this point, especially with the healthy Jordan Morris, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see if the Sounders actually end up doing anything. So come the window in 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, Ohio, it's okay. Jordan Morris is here.
Jordan Morris is here.
Jordan Morris is back. Sounders are back. They got the 3 points. It wasn't pretty. Well, the second half wasn't pretty, but I think you come out of this game with more positives than negatives. In a tough place to go, at a tough time to go down there. Peter Vermees is no longer there, but you always get bad vibes from going down to Kansas City in the middle of the summer. And the Sounders pulled it out. I think this next week's going to be really important. We always say the next week is really important.
But this week
But
especially.
when you have a homestand like this, it just really is crucial to take your points from it, especially going into a point where you're not going to be playing league games. You want to be in as strong of a position as possible. Win your games, man.
That's all we ask. Win your games, stay healthy, and no red cards.
No red cards. Let's see how long the Sounders can go without a red card in a game.
God,
Do you think there's a red card against Colorado?
I don't want to put it out there, but like, fuck, who knows at this point? Like, all the stats say yes, we're gonna get a red card.
So, we will be back probably after we'll have a double pod. We'll have 2 games to chat about on the next one. It'll be exciting. Hopefully we'll have Chuck back with us. He was out for this one. Just a little bit of extra business. He's the hardest working man I know.
I know we've been doing duo pods for the last 3 games now. It feels wrong. Feels a little
Gotta get
weird.
the gang back together.
Gotta get gang back together. All right.
Absolutely.
Anything else about this game or
No.
about this upcoming week, Owen?
I don't know that I'm thrilled to watch the Sounders play. I'm excited.
Excited is a good word. I like that. Me too. All right. All right, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Do well and do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey. So where are you going to watch all of the Sounder away games this year?
Away games for the Sounders. Since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that's a great idea. Go Sounders. Hope we see y'all here.